Welcome to Episode 5 from Stavius, Volume 1 of the Chronicles of Mearth trilogy. Chapter 2 continues as Mark dreams about Mearth again.
July 24th, Mearth.
"Hey, look! A unicorn!" Staven exclaimed as a unicorn crashed across their path. The other troops marching alongside glared at him. "Sorry," muttered Staven before sub-vocalizing. "Shut up, Mark! I can't afford to be fired from this gig." "Sorry," thought Mark, "but did you see that? A unicorn just ran across the road." "Yeah, for the 40th time today. And watch our step. Unicorn poop may be rainbow colored, but it doesn't smell like strawberries, and you don't want to get it on your boots," grumbled Staven. "Where have you been for the past month? And more importantly, why are you back?" "I've been back living my life," thought Mark. "I only get here when I dream, and I don't seem to have any control over when I come. But it's great to be back. What happened with the Soul Reapers?" "Yeah, it's just lovely having you back, kid," thought Staven. "I don't know what happened with the Soul Reapers. I felt them touch my shoulders, close my eyes, and then you and they were all gone. I figured they had taken you and left me. I did feel a little bad for you, though. What happened?" I just woke up," admitted Mark. "And then I couldn't get back here no matter how hard I tried. I was starting to think it was just a dream." "No such luck, kid, but you have to be cool this time. I had to sneak out of town in the middle of the night after our last adventure, and I can never go back there again. Losing the house kind of stinks because it has been in my family for generations, but those farmers are never going to forgive the damage that chicken caused, and I will never be able to pay for it. I used some connections with a nearby kingdom to get this security job. We're escorting the daughter of a wealthy family on a road trip, and I'll be in deep trouble if I screw it up.
So please keep quiet."
Mark looked around and realized that they were part of a company of a dozen soldiers marching alongside a fancy carriage pulled by a centaur. "Hey, Staven, is that a centaur pulling that carriage?" thought Mark. Staven sighed and thought, "Yeah, and please keep quiet. As you might recall, centaurs and I do not get along. We are having a heck of a time keeping this one focused on pulling the carriage instead of chasing after cute unicorns, so I don't need you to point them out." Mark did his best to keep quiet as they marched through the forest, but it was difficult. The vegetation on this planet didn't look much different than back home, but the pavers in the road glimmered, and the animals were incredible. They saw a herd of unicorns in the distance, which drove the centaur crazy. There were dozens of magical squirrels, colorful birds that looked like they were on fire, and thousands of sparkling specks of light that Staven explained were wood fairies. "I'm sorry," Mark finally broke down and thought. "Excuse me, but what are those giants called who have been watching us?" "What giants?"
"Oh, the two crouching by the roadside up ahead, and the other one off to our right."
Staven quickly looked around and shouted, "Trolls!" 3 gigantic trolls immediately stepped out of the shadows and charged the group. The centaur stood frozen and started to pee like one of those statue fountains, while the soldiers formed a protective circle around the carriage. The captain sent 2 troops to attack the closest troll, and they were tossed dozens of yards away with one brush of the troll's massive arm.
Each troll looked like a 30-foot tall cross between a grizzly bear and a gorilla.
Nobody knew why these trolls wanted the girl or the carriage, but everybody realized there was no way 10 soldiers were going to stop them. Suddenly, Staven, the centaur, the girl, and the captain realized they were the only ones left, as the other soldiers fled down the road behind them. The captain was bound to stay by honor and duty, the centaur and the girl were bound to the carriage, and Staven was bound by the fact that his legs didn't seem to want to move. Then, without warning, Mark dropped Staven to one knee and reached down with curled fingers as though he was going to dig in the dirt. He stood, raising his hands high above his head, and as he did, a smooth, shimmering, translucent wall rose 50 feet high around the troll to their right. The 2 trolls on the road paused as they heard their friend banging against the wall of energy and watched sparks erupt from its blows.
Then they turned, roared, and raced straight towards Staven.
Mark never took his eyes off them as he brought his hands to his chest height, drew his elbows back, and began to hum. His whole body began to glow and vibrate until he thrust his hands forward towards the 2 trolls, causing a brilliant yellow ball of fire to shoot towards them. A moment later, They were just not there. "What was that?" shouted Staven in spite of himself. "I don't know," Mark thought. "My friends and I sometimes act out the fantasy board games we play, and that's how I imagined it would work." "Those were trolls," answered the captain, who did not know about Mark. "And that was amazing." "It certainly was," agreed the young woman, peering out of the carriage window at Staven. She was smiling and starting to say, "My name is—" Then she stopped, and her expression turned to terror. Staven saw the same expressions on the captain and the centaur and didn't need to ask why. He simply said, "Get her out of here and safely home as quickly as possible." The captain leaped upon the carriage and the centaur galloped off faster than Staven had ever seen a centaur move. He felt a hand on his shoulder and knew they weren't escaping the Soul Reaper this time. He saw bony, blood-red fingers grasp his tunic, and the world went black.
I'm Gregory Chumley. Learn more about the Chronicles of Mearth and purchase books on Amazon or at www.cholmonco.com/Mearth. Cholmonco storyteller books are an exciting innovation in reading. Each chapter contains a QR code which you can scan with your smartphone to listen to streaming audio of me telling you the story while you read.